Who is Bruce Lee? A martial artist, a philosopher, and a movie star. Today he's dead and gone, but everybody knows who Bruce Lee is. Way of the Dragon, Fist of Fury, Big Boss are some of the films that you will remember him. If you look at the last scene, the fight with Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee, it is still rated as the best martial arts fighting scene. You can ask any kid on the road who Bruce Lee is. He's a legend. He's a legacy. Everybody wants to be Bruce Lee. I was one of them as a kid. I was fascinated by his moves. Everybody in my school, after watching a movie of Bruce Lee, they walked out different. We used to call it in Sinhala, Bruce Lee Una. It was a feverish performance. We will talk about Dragon, the master, the Bruce Lee, in our episode today. How did Bruce Lee learn about martial arts? He was a bad, rotten kid in the streets of Hong Kong, fighting for everything. But he crossed the wrong line. He fought with a triad kid, nearly killed him. His father was scared about his life because the triad kid's father wanted to kill Bruce Lee. That is how Bruce Lee ended up in America. His father wanted to save his life. He came to America and joined the university. And then, because he didn't have enough money, taught martial arts to his other friends to make a side income. Pretty soon, everybody started noticing him, including his wife, Linda. Bruce Lee was not just another kid. He could dance as well. He was the Cha-Cha champion in Hong Kong. What he did was, he combined Cha-Cha with martial arts. He learned martial arts from Ip Man. Today we see an Ip Man series. Ip Man was Bruce Lee's teacher. But Bruce Lee surpassed Ip Man. You get UFC, the mixed martial arts. It's a big hit today. Many people watch UFC in the octagon.
McGregor well in control.
But way back then, in the 1970s, Bruce Lee was the first to introduce mixed martial arts. He said, "Flow like water, my friend. Be shapeless, be formless, be like water," he said. Water doesn't have a shape. It will take the shape of a jug, a mug, or a bottle. That was his philosophy. He would use whatever that worked in a fight. He would always refer to street fights. He was a practical grandmaster. That is why even people like Conor McGregor respect him. Everybody is in awe of the legend, the dragon, Bruce Lee. We will talk about how he died. He was exerting himself too much and his brain couldn't handle it. His brain started swelling, and then one day he collapsed at one of the actresses' households. They were discussing about an upcoming movie, and then Bruce Lee got a headache. He was immediately taken to the hospital, but it was too late. They did everything possible to revive him. One of the drugs given to him worked against his system, and he was pronounced dead within a very short time.
Today's service was much quieter. The guests were admitted by invitation only, and there were only 200 of those sent out. A few fans without invitations showed up at the door, but they were quietly turned away. They waited in small clusters.
The world lost Bruce Lee, but the legacy lives on. Today, Scott Adkins, Jean-Claude Van Damme, everybody took lessons from what he did in front of the lens, how he choreographed the fighting scenes. Lot of moves what you see today were started by Bruce Lee. At that time, he didn't have advanced cameras. His fighting speed was too fast for the cameras. He had to finally slow it down 50% for them to really shoot it. All the action scenes were mastercrafted by this legend called Bruce Lee. As a Chinese, Bruce Lee had a lot of barriers to cross. Nobody took a Chinese seriously. They all laughed at the Chinese man in New York. His very own people in Chinatown didn't want him to teach other skinned people about the martial arts. They protected the martial art. So he was challenged by the Chinese, his own kind, and he was not allowed to teach his art to others because it was a racial instrument of self-defense. But Bruce Lee didn't hold back. He said everybody should know an art of self-defense. So he taught everyone, starting from blacks to movie stars. Some of the big names like James Coburn, Steve McQueen were his students. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a student of his.
Lee was a great friend of mine, and we used to work out together for a long time. It was very close. We were very close friends. And
he was a very interesting gentleman, wasn't he?
Bruce?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. He was a really good.
He used nunchaku on screen, and he was exceptional at handling it. Today, it's a staple martial art weapon. But at that time, nobody knew what nunchaku could do. But today, even in Sri Lanka, even the wushu masters, they talk highly of the nunchak and the art proposed by Bruce Lee. There's so much to talk about Bruce Lee, but we can never finish it. But only thing we can do is talk about a legacy and a man who changed martial arts film. And today we can only talk about martial arts the way he portrayed in front of the camera. We have a string of martial artists now, but we all have to thank him for the beginning he gave. Namaste. We all respect Bruce Lee. From Sri Lanka and from rest of the world, we will always remember this legend. Let him find peace.